Let's talk about your contact list. Hey, one of my assistant managers, Scotty, or somebody. All right. So let's talk about your practices. I want you to grab out that list that you were practicing on, your brainstorm list, and people that you were thinking about for doing some appointments with your first weekend. Yeah, turn to page, if you forgot your list. Don't freak out. All right, turn to page 20 and 21. So take out your list, but also turn to page 20 and 21 in your training manual. And we're going to do a brainstorm list. All right, so page 20 and 21, we're going to do a brainstorm list. And we're going to think about all the people that you could do a presentation for, not people that are definitely going to buy, and not necessarily everybody that you're going to show, but we're going to come up with a big list. The reason why we're going to come up with a big list is because the bigger the list you have, the more selective you can be. So as we're doing this list, there are going to be some people that you write down that you're totally freaking out over, and you're going to be like, Devin, do not look at paper pizza. I'm using my card.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So there are going to be some people that you put down your list that you are going to freak out over. You're like, there's no way. Like Brady was saying, like his ex-girlfriend's mom. So, like there are going to be people that you put down that you're like, there's no way I'm ever calling them. Put them down anyway. We're never going to look at your list. This is your list for you only. We will never force you to call anyone on your list, okay? But the more people you have on, the more options you have, the more selective you can be, okay? So the key is to write down every single person that comes to mind that you could show Cutco to. Now, a couple of people mentioned like show Mac customers. Like Shelby showed a couple single people her first weekend, and that's why she didn't do as well as she wanted to. And now that she's showing all married customers that own homes, she's selling every time. So don't even worry about that. If you have somebody you think of that they're not married or they don't own a home, like put them down anyway. It can't hurt to have on your list. Obviously, we're going to focus on your married homeowners first, but it's okay to have them on your list, okay? So, and even with like the age requirement, let's say you have like an older brother or sister who's like 26, 27, you're like, that would be pretty cool to show my older brother or sister. Put them down, like if you have cousins and things like that. So don't worry about these requirements for this list. This is purely a brainstorm of who you could show Cutco to. Also, you might have that person that you're really scared of. Solomon might have a customer, and he's like, I would never call them. Do you think after a couple of weeks, your confidence will be a little bit higher that you might want to call those people later? So having them on your list is really beneficial because in a week or two, you're going to want to call everyone. Your confidence is going to be so through the roof that you're not going to be afraid to call anyone. So write every single person down. Now, a lot of the people that you think of are going to be your friends. And you're obviously not going to show your friends, you're going to show their parents. But if you don't know their parents' names, that's fine. Just write your friend's name down. You can put like Billy's parents, Johnny's parents, Betty's parents. Just put down your friend's name and then parents next to it. And however you know this person. So when we do the family section, if it's grandma, just write grandma. Like you don't have to write their full name. Some of you guys don't even know your grandma's real name. But put down their, just write grandma or Aunt Sally or whatever, however you know them. Like first names are fine, last names are fine. This is your list. Okay, so we're going to go through different categories, and every category we get to is going to hit you differently. Who's got a big family? Who's got a big family with tons of aunts and uncles? So if you have a huge family, your list is going to be massive for your family, your aunts and uncles. My family's really tiny. Who's got a tiny family, like not a whole lot of aunts and not a lot of uncles? So yours is going to be a little bit smaller. That's fine. Every category is going to be different for everyone, so don't be like, oh man, I've got no family, or I don't have any friends. So don't be that person. You're going to have plenty when we go through each of the categories, okay? So we're going to start off with the family first. So on page 20, and you have your choice. I'm very OCD, so I like to have everything organized. The brainstorming list that you did, if you want to transfer those over onto this list so it's all in one organized spot, you can. Don't worry about the phone numbers for now, just the names. But if you want to transfer them over, you can. Otherwise, if you're like, I can keep track of two things at once, I can't because I'm a guy. We can only focus on one thing at a time. So you can have like your list and you can just put all the additional ones. Like Joe's got like 3 pages worth of contacts. So if you just want to, on this list, just do anybody else that you didn't have on this brainstorm, that's fine. So your choice, whether you want to transfer them over or just do the extra ones, totally up to you, however you want to organize, okay? So the first section though, is family. First section is family. I want you to write down every single family member that you could potentially show Cutco to. Now, don't judge. Don't judge at all. Write down every single person, even like those single uncles of yours that you're like, they're kind of weird, they like live in a van. Like, just write them down anyway, because it can't hurt. So every single family member that you could show Cutco to. Aunts, uncles, cousins, grandma, grandpa, mom, and dad. So go ahead and jot down all of those people.
You can throw out of town.
Yeah, oh yeah, perfect. Out of town also. I'm going to show you, thanks for reminding me, Sam, because I'm going to forget later. This weekend, you can do virtual appointments this weekend. I'll teach you how to do it tomorrow. It's the exact same presentation as you already learned, except the presentation book where they look at the pictures. We have all these pictures on a website, so they just scroll through the website while you talk on the phone. So it's the same exact thing. Also, we have videos that do all the cutting demonstrations, so they're watching videos instead of watching you cut. So it's the same demo. It's really easy. When you do your virtual appointments, they just have to set a time where they're going to be sitting in front of the computer. That's the only difference. So you can set virtual appointments this weekend. We sell a boatload of Cutco on virtual appointments, so you can definitely do it. So yeah, put virtuals down also, because they're just as good as individual demos, especially with your family. So aunts, uncles, cousins, put down mom and dad, put down grandma, grandpa. Does anybody have older brothers and sisters that you can do demos for? So Daniel, the guy who did 10,000 is Fast Start, he's got a couple older siblings, and he sold to all of his older siblings.
Did his siblings work for Cutco?
Yeah, they all work for Cutco. Yeah, but they wanted to help him out. Yeah. His older sister didn't work for Cutco, so she bought a full set. And his brothers work for Cutco, so they have a lot of money, so they bought too. Think about like second cousins and third cousins. How many times have you gone to like a wedding or a family reunion that you see people like, you know those ladies, like those old ladies that they like say, I've known you since you were a baby, and you're like, who the heck are you? Like, do you know those people? I had a side of my family, like my immediate family, really tiny, but my dad has a whole side of cousins. They were the Ludwigs. And like I saw them every couple of years at like, weddings and events. But I didn't really know them that well, but they were my family, so were they going to help me out? For sure. I showed every one of them, and they all bought big. So second cousins and third cousins, think about those people who you see at like weddings and family reunions, like the distant relatives. Of course they're going to help you out. So jot all those people down too. Does anybody have like a ridiculously big family, like where your mom or dad is like one of 7 or 10 or something like crazy like that? Well, this whole weekend for the 2 of you is just going to be showing all your aunts and uncles, right? It's going to be really easy. You know what's great about showing family is they get super competitive with buying Cutco, because they're going to be like, well, what did my sister buy? Well, she bought a galley set. Well, what's bigger than a galley set? Yeah, all the time. I mean, you're going to have super competitive aunts and uncles. Who's got a competitive family like that? Yeah. Who lives in a neighborhood where everybody tries to like one-up each other? Like if somebody buys a nice car, like 3 weeks later, the neighbor has a nice car too. Right? So neighbors like to compete against each other. It's fun with Cutco. I'm going to do your intro. I saved my most important people for last. Oh, and hey, Deb. Thank you. Boys are good on pizza? So family. Sherry, you leave as soon as you need to. Okay. Can I show you real quick? Guys, this is Shay. Shay just started this weekend. What's your favorite thing about the job?
The flexibility. You can make your own schedule, so I've worked around my trips and everything. It's pretty nice.
What trips have you gone on?
I just got back from Minnesota last night.
So, and you started your fast start, and then like midway through your fast start, you went to, well, you started on Friday.
Mm-hmm.
So you worked for like, what, 2 days?
Yeah.
And then
But
you
I
went on your trip?
did it on my trip too, so I sold on my trip.
By the way, who's going on a family vacation this summer? So you can bring Cutco with you. Who did you sell to while you were there?
My grandma.
Nice. What'd you get?
She got the studio set.
Awesome. By the way, I'm going to show you all the smaller sets tomorrow. They're awesome sets. What's your favorite thing about the job besides flexibility?
The people. I love meeting new people, and you get to eat too.
What do you eat in your presentations?
Pineapples, apples, carrots, tomatoes.
Awesome. And advice on how to get the most out of their first weekend?
Call a lot. I spent 2.5 hours calling.
And it made a big difference?
Yeah, and always do your 5 before, 5 after.
Does everyone pick up the phone?
No.
No. But you just make a lot of phone calls and go on demo set. And you came in early the second morning to make all your demos to get free breakfast on me.
I came at 8.
What time would you suggest?
Between 8 and 8:15.
Yeah, that way you get a full morning and phone call. Because all the housewives, the ones who don't answer tonight, they're all going to answer tomorrow morning. So get in touch with them in the morning and all this stuff. Let's give Shay a round of applause. Thank you, Shay. All right, we got the family list. We're feeling good about that? All right, next is your friends. So where it says top 40 friends. So I want you to take out your cell phone. Now, guys, resist the urge. Do not respond to the text. Don't look at your Snapchats, okay? Listen, if unread, unopened Snapchat, that's kind of like, man, what? It's like mysterious. Be the mysterious one, okay? Don't open it. You're going to learn a lot of life skills here, not just knife skills. All right, so top 40 friends. So what I want you to do is I want you to go through your cell phone contacts. I want you to just scroll through A through Z. Any of your friends that you feel comfortable enough to call their parents, go ahead and write them down. Go ahead and write them down. Their parents, obviously, yeah. You can write them down though. Like even if you don't know even if you've never met their parents before, we've got a really great script on how to get your friends' parents' numbers. It's really easy. Plus, if they're your close friends, you could just be like, dude, what's your mom's number? And they're gonna be like, why? And you're gonna say, because I need to see her this weekend. So just write down, go through A through Z in your cell phone, write down every single person that you could do a demo for their parents, even if you wouldn't feel comfortable enough calling them right away, because this weekend you're going to show like your best friend's parents, but anybody that you're like, that you wouldn't mind giving a shout to and asking for their parents' numbers, okay? So write down every single person you could do a demo for their parents. And don't judge. There might be somebody you're like, just write them down anyway, it can't hurt. Now some of you are going to fill this list really quickly. So page 22 is the overflow. Page 22 is the overflow. So if you fill that up real quick with all your friends, go ahead and do page 22 for the overflow. Now, I went to a big high school. Anybody go to a high school that graduated more than 200? Okay. Anybody graduated a high school at more than 400 or 500? So you think about it, even if you were comfortable enough to call 10% of your graduating class, of your friends from high school, if you graduated 500, that's 50 friends right there you could do demos for their parents. I graduated with 1,000. So I had about 250 friends from high school that I felt comfortable enough to reach out to their parents. Now I didn't call all of them, but having them on my list was really important because I was able to be really selective and I was able to pick out the best ones. I was also in a youth group in high school, and I had about 150 friends from my youth group. Anybody in our youth group or some type of club, some type of group? I was in a youth group in high school, so I had about 150 friends from my youth group that I could call any of their parents and I could get demos with them. I didn't call all of them, but I did reach out to quite a few. Anybody play sports in high school? Every roster that you've ever played on, like Coop has showed a lot of his football buddies. So if anybody who plays baseball or football, those parents, sports teams' parents, are the best people to show. The best, right? Because they're so supportive. They want to help out the other kids in the team. Anybody in theater or drama or choir or band, like band moms? Anybody who's in band? Anybody in band? Band moms are the best. The best people to see. So think about all your band friends. Anybody in choir or theater? Those theater moms and choir moms, incredible, incredible. Anybody softball players? Softball moms, phenomenal. Soccer moms, even better. Sports moms are the best because they want to help you out, right? So scroll through your phone. Every single person you could do a presentation for, go ahead and jot down. Anybody find somebody that is like really scary that you wouldn't call right away, but you have them on your list anyway? Save them for later, right? But put them on your list. as you're scrolling, who came across somebody in your phone, you're like, I've definitely got to call her mom, or I've definitely got to call his mom. Good. And even if you've never met their parents before, that's fine. If you're friends with their kid, of course they'll see you and help you out. And nobody's going to say no to you, right? Like, nobody's going to say no to helping out a college student, like, pay their way through school. Like, you know, you're sitting down and watching you cut food for 45 minutes to an hour. Of course they'll help you out. So every one of your friends who you could do a presentation for their parents. Your team is on fire today. On fire. You've sold like 6 or 7 grand since you've been here in training. Mostly from the reps that you've met today. Jake Ellis just sold the signature set. Anyone know Jake Ellis? Aaron Beckman, one of our assistant managers, is already at $1,600 in sales for the day. He's at 40%. So what's 40% of 1,600? What's that?
No, that's terrible.
40%, what, $600, something like that? 600-700. So you made like $600 or $700 today. That doesn't stink. On 2 appointments. So all of your friends who you could do presentations for. As you're brainstorming, who feels a little bit more confident about your list than you did before? Is this helpful to go through and brainstorm? And all your friends' moms, of course they're going to help you out. Of course they're going to see it. I'm going to spend one more minute on your friends list, so rapid fire. And you can get, by the way, this is not even nearly complete. Most of you, think about Facebook. So most of you have like 500 or 1,000 or 2,000 friends on Facebook or Instagram or Snapchat. You got so many friends on there. You can go through all your social media stuff. And you could literally write down hundreds of friends that you could do presentations for. All right, top of page 21. If you're still working your friends list, you can continue, but I want you to look at page 21 where it says top 30 parents' friends. This is a big one. Mom and dad's friends are your best resource because of course they're going to help you out and they have the means to do so, and of course they're going to want to help you out and help you get started. So top 30 parents' friends. I want you to think about all of mom and dad's friends who you can do a presentation for. Some of your parents are more social than others. My parents had a lot more friends than I thought they had. Like I didn't realize how social they were. They had more friends than me. Right? So think about all your parents' friends who like they hang out with, who they socialize with, who do they go to dinners with, who do they vacation with. So you're gonna jot down all of your parents' friends. It could be coworkers too. So friends, coworkers, all of your parents' contacts. If your parents work for somebody, their boss, for sure. If they own a business, their employees would be great people to see. So all of mom and dad's friends. And some of you, you're going to need to sit down with mom and dad tonight. Who needs to sit down with mom tonight and really just go through her cell phone, go through her contacts? Make sure you do that as soon as you get home, because if you wait until later, she's going to be tired and grumpy. So just as soon as you get home, sit down with mom and go through the cell phone, go through the list. And same thing with dad. Because mom and dad have different contacts. Now, my mom, she was in different groups. She was like in a book club, she did yoga, she did all sorts of things. So she had friends from different resources. Anybody's mom involved like in like golf or tennis or something like that, or they're in like different groups and they've got like a group of friends. So those are great people to see. Courtney Cochran sold 6 homemakers out of her first 7 presentations. It was her mom's tennis team. She just showed her mom's entire tennis team. She sold 6 out of 7 homemakers because they were all competing against each other because they didn't want to be the one to buy less. My dad used to tell stories. Like anybody's dad tell like the glory day stories of like back when they were like in shape and athletic, and like they would be like, back in the day, my friends, and you're like, you didn't have friends. But my dad used to tell stories of all of his friends from high school and college. So I sat down with my dad. I was like, how about your buddies from pharmacy school? How about your friends from high school? And I showed all of my dad's friends from when he was growing up. They were great people to see. So think about those people that mom and dad tell stories about. I showed my mom's best friend from childhood on a virtual demo. She lived in Florida. She was a virtual demo. My mom hadn't even seen her in like 10 years, and I did a virtual demo for her. So think about their old friends from growing up, high school and college friends, any groups that they're a part of. My dad played poker, like a group of friends he plays cards with once a month, so I showed all of his poker buddies. So think about all the groups that they're involved with and all the different resources they have. Work friends too, coworkers. This is also neighbors. So when you write down every one of your neighbors, neighbor to the left, neighbor to the right, neighbor across the street. Jake Newworth, he holds the record in our office for largest fast start. He sold $15,000 in his fast start. He didn't leave his neighborhood once. Didn't leave his neighborhood once. He just showed the entire neighborhood because he was like, he grew up there, so he knew everyone. Anybody have a neighborhood like that where you grew up there and you know a lot of the neighbors? You just walk to your neighborhood. You don't have to drive your car this weekend. You can just do all demos in your neighborhood this weekend. About all your neighbors, all your family friends. Keelan, the guy that you guys met before, he went after training, he went home, he sat down with mom, and mom came up with a list of 50 friends for him to have, and he called all them, and the next morning he came in at 8 o'clock, called all his mom's friends, and booked all of his demos for the weekend with mom's friends. So tonight will be a really good night to sit down and get contacts with mom and dad. But again, do it as soon as you get home, because if you wait too late, they're gonna be like, oh, I'll give it to you later, because they're gonna be tired. Again, having this big list allows you to be more selective, so that way you pick out your best customers for this week. Oh, this is, it says church or synagogue on there. This is huge. I had a guy, David Holden. The entire summer, he only showed people from his church. He was like, I grew up there. Everybody knows me. Of course, they're all going to help me out. So he just did his entire church congregation the entire summer. Didn't show anybody outside of his church and his family the entire summer. So if you belong to church synagogue, that is huge, huge. And it's, of course, it's a supportive community. Could you even just go and get the directory? Like when you go home tonight, could you just go through the directory and just highlight the people that you can call? It's massive, massive. Aaron Beckman did that too. Some of you guys know Aaron Beckman. He's one of my assistant managers. He just called everybody from his church. That's a big, big list. Big list. Who's got a directory like that at home? Like either a country club or golf club or synagogue or church, something like that. Yeah. Or like even like a PTA group, like a, if your mom is like a part of PTA or something like that. So everyone's got directories, so you can just search out all your directories tonight too. All right, right below that it says top 10 siblings, friends, parents. Top 10 siblings, friends, parents. If you have brothers and sisters, their friends' parents are huge. Jake Newworth, right after his fast start, he sat down with his sister and he told his sister that he'd buy her lunch to have all of her friends' parents' phone numbers. So he showed all of his sister's friends' parents. So think about your siblings and think about their closest friends, their best 3 or 4 friends. Those are great people to see. Older brothers or younger. So your siblings, closest friends, parents. We had a girl, Jordan, that her fast start, she showed all of her sister's softball friends' parents. Because she used to go to all of her sister's games. So she just showed all of the parents that were at those games. Siblings, friends, parents. To the right of that, you've got top 10 coaches, teachers, and mentors. So guidance counselors, advisors, teachers that you were close with. I showed my 2nd grade teacher. I hadn't seen her in 10 years, but I showed my 2nd grade teacher, and she recommended me to all the other teachers in the school. So think about who you had a good relationship with. Any advisors, guidance counselors, principals, coaches from sports teams. Ben Potts, one of our assistant managers, he plays basketball at CU Boulder. And Ben showed his basketball coach from high school. He was like deathly afraid of this guy, but he showed him anyway. The guy bought a homemaker. Is this helpful to go through this brainstorm? We have more people to choose from now, right? Okay. And this list is ever expanding. If there was no such thing as referrals, you'd have plenty of people to show the entire summer. Just with the contacts that you have, obviously you're going to build a ton of referrals, and you're going to start calling them right after your fast start. But you have a lot of people to start off with a big foundation. Even if you're not that social, even if you're a little bit more introverted and your parents don't have a lot of friends, you've got at least enough people to start you off. But the most important thing is showing your best what? Best 5. Because they're going to recommend you to their best 5, and you're going to have 25 baller customers just from those. Let's talk about who your best customers are. Your best customers are called MAC prospects, M-A-C. M stands for married. Why do we only show married couples? Why do we start off with only married couples? Why do we think? Who can tell me? Why married couples?
They have 2 stable incomes.
Yep, dual income. And if they don't have dual income, it's because they don't need dual income. One is plenty. Like housewives, I made a career on housewives. Like I love showing housewives, so as long as one's working, that's fine. But married because they've got plenty of income and plenty of stability. Why else? Perfect. Also, what do people that are married, they do more what? Cooking, right? So they have more of a value for the product. I'd rather show an average income married couple than a rich single person. Because the rich single person, they're not going to use Cutco as much. Cutco is designed product-wise and price-wise for average income people. It's not for super wealthy people. It's average income people. That's why it's so cheap. Because we want to focus on people, the average everyday households. So dual income, they cook more. They're going to get more value out of it. And when you show husband and wife together, it's a guaranteed sale. It's almost impossible to have a no sale when you show both husband and wife together. I think maybe in my whole Cutco career, once, if that I have a no sale when I show both husband and wife together. It's very, very rare. So you want to show as many husbands and wives together as possible this weekend. Now, are there some exceptions? For sure. If mom and dad are split, of course you're showing mom, of course you're showing dad, okay? And if grandma's around but grandpa's not, of course you're showing grandma because she's your grandma. But you're not going to go out and search for your your friend's single dad who really likes knives. Like, that's a weird thing to do. So don't show your friend's single parents. Now, let's say you do have a good prospect. Let's say that Joe's got an aunt. She's not married to Uncle Joe anymore, but she's got 3 kids, lives in a nice house, has a great job, and she's like a perfect prospect. It's his aunt, so I might say, yeah, give her a shot, like give her a call this weekend. If anybody is not married, but you think they're a great prospect, just run it by me first. This is called your Ask Drew list. So Joe would just say, hey, I've got this customer, here's the situation, what do you think? My job is to help you as much as possible. I want you to make sales. If I think that Joe can make a sale to that person, I'll give him a thumbs up and I'll say, yes, definitely show them right away. If I think that Joe should wait, I'm going to say hold off for a few days or hold off until next week. Not because I'm being a jerk and I don't want him to show that person, but because I don't want him to waste the opportunity for a sale. So if I say, let's wait until next week, it's because I think he'll be a lot more likely to sell to that person next week versus this weekend. So if you ask me about a customer and I say to hold off, it's because it's in your best interest. I have 14 years of experience, just trust me on it. But if I say, yeah, call her right away, like in that situation, I definitely say it's your aunt, call her right away. But just ask me first if they're not married, and I'll give you my gut feeling of what I would do in your situation. Sound good? Okay. A stands for age. Age is 30 to 60. That's our prime focus area, 30 to 60. Now, are there some exceptions? Sure, you might have a brother or sister who's got a brother or sister who's like 27, 28, 29, married, has a great job, has kids, owns a home, and it would be a great prospect. So Caitlin's in that situation. Of course, I'm going to tell him to call his brother or sister in that situation. But it's very rare that somebody under 30 would have the stability to be a great prospect. So if Caitlin said to me, if he said, hey, I've got this buddy, he's 26, he loves knives, I would say absolutely not, right? Because that buddy has trouble paying his cell phone bill and sleeps on his mom's couch. So it's about married homeowners are the key, but 30 to 60. Now if you get to like 60s were my best customers. Grandmas were my best customers because they've been using crappy knives their entire life. Once they use Cutco, lights out. I mean, it's a no-brainer. 70s and 80s, be a little bit more careful. I judge grandma based on birthday cards. If grandma gives you $5 on your birthday, hold off on grandma. If she gives you $50 on your birthday, show her. She'll buy something. If she gives you $100 or $500, show grandma first. Who's got a grandma that spoils the heck out of them? Show grandma first. She's your first demo tomorrow night. Question?
Okay, so it's like if we did have someone who's like married and owns a home,
Yep.
have like that kind of.
Yeah, just run it by me.
That's still kind of like presentation though, because they're under 30.
If they're under 30, it wouldn't count as base pay, but if you and I agree that it would be a good prospect, you're going to make more on commissions anyway, so it wouldn't matter,
Okay.
right? So, but just ask me first, and I'll tell you, in my opinion, it might make sense to wait until next week until you build a little more confidence. If I think that it would be a good one to show this weekend, then we'll say, yeah, let's go for it. So just run it by me first if they don't fit these requirements. Again, you can do the demo, but I want to guide you towards success and set you up for your best weekend. Okay? And then C is CASA or crib. Okay, C stands for CASA or crib. And that means they own their own home. Owning, not renting, because we want to focus on people that own, not rent. Own, not rent. Why do you think it's important to show people that own, not rent? What's the difference with somebody who owns their house? Yeah, like they're investing into the house, right? Well, people that are renting, and they can have the same income, the same job as somebody who owns, but somebody who rents, they're usually saving up for what? A house. Yeah. So here's the difficulty. It has nothing to do with their income or their ability to spend money. It's just when somebody's renting, they're usually saving up for a house. So it puts them in a tough position because they say, I really want to buy, but I want to wait until after I get my what? House. So it puts them in a tough spot. So I would just hold off on anybody that's renting. But are there some unique situations? Like some people rent because they travel so much for work and they just can't maintain a house, so they have like a really nice condo or apartment that they rent. That's fine, right? But in that situation, they might be out of town too much where it doesn't make sense for them, for the product, right? Like so, you just have to use your judgment. But just ask me if they're, if they don't fit that. But married between 30 and 60 and own a home, best prospects. Okay, those are called MAC prospects. All right, so what I want you to do is we're going to think about your best 5. We're going to come up with your best 5 this weekend. Some of you already know who your best 5 are, but we're going to come up with your best 5. They're number 1. The first person you show has to be your best prospect, has to be a guaranteed, without a doubt, definite sale. Here's why. Your first demo is not for practice. Your first demo is for confidence. If Tyler sells a set, or even if he just sells an ice cream scoop on his first demo, everything that I told him for 2 days, he'll say, it works, I can do this. Now, if Tyler has a no sale on his first demo, he's gonna be like, oh man, this is really hard. I'll give you an example. I had a guy named Kellen Fry, graduated from Mountain Vista High School, and Kellen did his first 2 demos on his first night, and they weren't his best prospects. He just did them because they were easy practice ones. He had 2 no sales in a row, his first 2 presentations. And Kellen was really excited for the job. I thought he was gonna be one of our top reps. And he had 2 no sales back to back. On Friday night, I spent 45 minutes talking him off the ledge. Like, no joke, talked him off the ledge. He's like, I can't do this job. This is really hard. Nobody's buying. I'm not cut out for sales. And I spent 45 minutes at like 10 o'clock at night on a Friday night, and I had to like convince him to like give it a shot and not give up on himself. The next day, he sold $4,000. He ended up selling $10,000 in his first 10 days. He ended up becoming one of the top reps in our office. He ran 2 branch offices, paid his way through college, graduated debt-free from CU Boulder, and all because of Cutco. And then he landed a job on Wall Street. He's living in Manhattan now. He sends me Snapchats all the time about like how great his life is in Manhattan, and every one of them says like, "Thanks, Cutco." But we could have lost him. It was very close to losing him, just because he had a confidence dinger in his first night because he didn't set himself up with his best people. So tomorrow night, very crucial to show people that you know guaranteed 100% without a doubt are buying at least something. Like the easy ones, like even if you cut them, they're still gonna buy. Like grandma, mom and dad, like who are the easy ones that no matter what they're buying, not necessarily gonna buy everything, but who's gonna definitely buy no matter what? Those are the ones you wanna show tomorrow night. Now if that happens to be one of your best prospects that you think can show Homemaker Signature Ultimate Set, even better. But your first demo, your number 1, this is called your Vegas prospect. Your Vegas prospect is the person that if I were to give you $10,000 and you had to go to Vegas and you had to place a bet on the one person on your list, guaranteed without a doubt, no question in your mind, no doubt at all, Homemaker plus 8 or bigger, who's that person that you're putting that $10,000 bet on? That's your Vegas customer, and that's your number 1. So I want you to scan through your list, and I want you to think about who that number 1 person is. Now, my parents would have been my Vegas had they not already owned everything, because I had 2 older brothers that sold Cutco before me. They would have been my Vegas, but I picked somebody else for my Vegas customer. But who's that Vegas, that person that you know could buy, just no big deal, they could drop whatever amount of money on everything. They could buy this entire shelf if they wanted to. Right? That's your Vegas customer. If you're having trouble thinking about your Vegas, you're deciding between who it is, you can only have 1 Vegas. You can have a couple Atlantic cities and a couple Blackhawks too, but you can only have 1 Vegas. So I want you to pick out your Vegas, who's your number 1, and then I want you to go in order. Some of you guys already figured out your top 5. I want you to go in order, who are your best 5 prospects, the most likely that you think would buy big and help you out. Here's also what I love about Cutco, is that I know you're thinking right now, you're like, who's gonna buy the biggest sets? The more you sell, the more it helps them. Because no matter how much Cutco you sell, let's say Joe sells an ultimate set to grandma, and he makes a couple $100 on that sale, he's gonna be really fired up. And he's gonna be like, haha, I win. But who really wins? Every time somebody buys Cutco, who wins? You or them? Them. Because 5 years from now, who's gonna have Cutco on their counter? Grandma. And Joe's gonna find something stupid to spend that money on, right? So he's gonna find something. Grandma's gonna have that Cutco 10 years from now, 20 years from now, right? When mom and dad buy their Cutco and you bring your kids back for Thanksgiving, what are they gonna be using? The Cutco that you sold them when you were in college. Like, that's a really cool feeling. So the more Cutco you sell, the better it is for them. The customer always wins. You still make a boatload of money. So go ahead and rank your top 5. If you've gotten your top 5, continue through your top 10. Because if you show your best 5 this weekend, you're guaranteed to hit at least 1 promotion, if not 2 or 3. If you show your best 10, man, I mean, the sky's the limit for what you can do. Are all of them going to be in town? No. Most of them will, though, because last weekend we had Father's Day weekend. Next weekend is July 4th, so if they're going to travel, they'll probably travel on one of those weekends. This weekend is a really good weekend where everyone's going to be in town. Nobody really travels this weekend. Who's feeling pretty good about their top 5? Here's what's cool about your top 5. even if you don't have a top 5 that you're really excited about, if you're like, they're good, but they're not like great, if you show those best 5, even if just 4 of them buy, and they buy an average order of $250, you don't sell a single set, what did you just hit? $1,000, you just hit your first promotion. So even if you don't have a top 5 that you're super excited about, you're still gonna hit your first promotion as long as you show your best 5. Now, if you have a best 5 that you're like, these are some pretty awesome customers, you sell a couple of homemakers, you're hitting 2 promotions. Some of you guys have a best 5 of people who have money, and some of you have a best 5 of people who have money, right? Some of you guys have like a ridiculous list. If you show that top 5, you're hitting 3 promotions this weekend, you're gonna make $1,000 plus this weekend. So, show your best 5. And everybody's got 5 that you're excited about, right? Like no matter what your list looks like, everybody's got 5 that you're like, this is gonna be a fun weekend.
I think we're gonna have time for them.
For sure. Oh yeah, tomorrow we end at 5. We're gonna go over schedule in a second. So we'll go over that. Yeah, for sure. You're gonna do 2 tomorrow night. You can even do 3 tomorrow night. Like you wouldn't normally do a 10 o'clock demo on a Friday night, but like it's your parents, so of course they're gonna be around. Okay. All right, let's go through your schedule. So 10 is the minimum that we talked about, and 10 is the minimum because it guarantees that first promotion. So Sam, perfect question. So this weekend we've got 4 days. We got Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. So if you're going to do 10, a good breakdown would be 2, 3, 3, 2. Now, let's say Labby's got another job. So I know that she works at Chili's. She works at Chili's. So let's say that she's got a double on Saturday where she can't do anything on Saturday. So what she would do is max out Friday and then just fill up all of Sunday. Now, if you have another job and you can get somebody to cover a shift for you or pretend that you're sick, that would be awesome. But even if you have a tight weekend and you can't get out of it, no big deal. She could still do 10. She would just have to be creative and squeeze them in at the times that she can. Earlier in the mornings, later at night, that's fine. But this is a good breakdown if you're just going to do 10 if you have a busy weekend. 15 is the average, so most people shoot for about 15, 13, 14, 15, 16, somewhere in that range. 2, 5, 5, 3 would be a good breakdown. Now 5 demos in a day, it's a good amount, but it's not overwhelming. We do our demos every 2 hours. We schedule them every 2 hours no matter what, even if they're neighbors, because your demos this weekend will be about an hour and a half. Even if they're virtuals, we do every 2 hours. So tomorrow night, we get out of training at 5:30, right? So you could do a 6 and 8. And who could you do a 10 o'clock with tomorrow night? Mom and Dad. I wouldn't do a 10 o'clock on a normal Friday night with a random person, because that's kind of weird. But with Mom and Dad, totally fine. Or best friends, parents, or aunts and uncles. So family, that's fine to do those late night ones. But let's say you were to do 5 on Saturday, you could do an 8, 10, 12, 2, and 4. You still have your night off. So let's say you got a concert on Saturday, you could still do 5 demos and go to Red Rocks for a concert. Like, that's what's really cool about this job. Or let's say you've got like football practice or basketball or something in the morning on Saturday, you could do like a 1, 3, 5, 7, and 9. And you can still do 5 even with things in your schedule. So you can still fit them in. There's enough time where you could do 7 appointments in a day. 8, 10, 12, 2, 4, 6, and 8. You could do 7 appointments in a day, that's the max. I've only done 7 appointments in a day once. It was the most exhausting day of my life, but it was pretty cool because I sold a lot. But I only did that once. So if you're going to go after 20 baller status, 3, 6, 6, 5 is a really good breakdown. 3, 6, 6, 5. That's if you had nothing going on and you could fit every single demo possible. We've only had a couple reps this summer do 20 in their first weekend because they had nothing going on. They just filled them all up. But if you have an open schedule, shoot for it. Why not? Question.
Do you sell knives internationally?
Totally, yeah, you can. They would have to ship it here and then ship it over there. I would explain that if you have an individual, like the circumstance with international customers, you can do it. Just ask me one-on-one. Yep, totally. All right, so does that make sense with schedule breakdown? And again, if you've got busy things going on certain days, just do more demos on the other days. All right, so let's break down that schedule. Turn to page. Your schedule is on page 24, 25. Turn to page 25. And we're going to do a breakdown of your schedule I'm going to help you come up with a, this is going to be an exercise, it's going to be a maxed out schedule. Don't worry about your schedule now. So I know Lavi's got work all day Saturday, but she's not going to worry about that for now. What I'm going to teach you is time management with Cutco, and I want to show you how to break down a schedule. So you're just going to follow everything that I tell you to put in your schedule, and then afterwards we're going to put your stuff over top. So still put in all the demo times to show you what a maxed out schedule could look like, and then you'll put your work schedule, your family stuff over top of that. But just play along with me for now. I just want to show you what it feels like to have a maxed out schedule. So on page 25, you've got 3 columns. You've got Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So go ahead and block off, write in Friday, Saturday, Sunday at the top. And then tomorrow we have training from 10 to 5:30. 10 to 5:30, so go ahead and put a block, like an X or a box around 10 to 5:30 for training. And then most of the people have told you that they came in early to film. What time does breakfast start tomorrow if you want to come early for breakfast? 8. Yeah, 8 o'clock for breakfast. You can come as early as you want, but 8 o'clock if you want to come early for breakfast. Now, it will depend on how many appointments you have set. So let's say, Stephanie, right? Okay, let's say Stephanie has, let's say her demos, let's say tonight she kicks butt on the phone and she books all of her appointments and she's already filled. There's no reason for her to come in at 8 o'clock because she's got all of her appointments filled. If you want to just for free breakfast and coffee, you can, and then you can start booking up Tuesday, Wednesday appointments. But if you already have your demos booked, maybe 9, 9:30, just get here a little bit, earlier before training. But it depends on how many appointments you have to book. If you're going for a big goal and you've got a lot you still need to fill up, get here at 8, 8:30, 9 o'clock. But your choice. But the earlier the better. Free breakfast, and you get to get more demos like that. All right, so go ahead and put that in just like right before training. Just write breakfast really big. So free breakfast on Drew. Free is good. Free is good. All right, so when could you do your first presentation? If you're going to max it out and go all out, when do you want to do your first presentation? Right afterwards, 6, right? If you live far away, so those of you who live in like Parker, Elizabeth, or in the Boonies, you can do the first one at 6:30, but I would say 6 o'clock. You're going to put a little X or a dollar sign right by where you can do your demo. So put a little X or a dollar sign right by 6 o'clock, because that's where you'll fill in your first appointment. And then put a little X or a dollar sign at 8, and then an X or a dollar sign at 10. Those are the possible times that you could do. Again, the only one that you would like reasonably do at 10 o'clock would be like mom and dad, or like your girlfriend or boyfriend's parents, like if you're used to like hanging out late at night at their place. So, but go ahead and put those 3 X's in there. I would say definitely try to do at least 2 tomorrow night. If you have plans with friends, nothing fun happens before 9 o'clock anyway, okay? So like the fun happens after 9 o'clock. So if you're gonna hang out with friends tomorrow night, still do your 2 demos and then do stuff afterwards. Plus, you don't want to ever be the first person to arrive at a party. Like, that's lame, right? You're like rocking by yourself. Hey guys, I got the chips. Right? No, it's just late arrivals are better, all right? So put the 3 X's on Friday night. And then Saturday morning, if you're gonna eat, breathe, and sleep Cutco and do nothing else this weekend, when are you gonna do your first one? 8. Now, you can do it earlier, right? Like 8 o'clock is a perfect one. We sell more sets, we sell more homemakers at 8 a.m. than any other time slot. If you're not an early riser normally, just try it out for the first weekend. Some of you are like, it's summertime, dude, come on. It's your fast start, come on. Okay, so do it earlier than normally would. If you're used to sleeping until 12 this summer so far, like at least do your first one at 10. Okay, just wake up earlier than you normally would. But the 8 a.m.s, why do you think 8 a.m.s are so good? They're in a great mood, and you get free breakfast out of it. Of course, you're going to get fed breakfast, okay? Nothing bad has happened in their day yet. So we sell a lot of sets at 8 o'clock. By the way, Grandma, she's been up for 4 hours. It's like lunchtime for her by then. So you can do like a 6 a.m. demo if you want, but I think 8 is a good first time. So we're going to put little X's or dollar signs every 2 hours in your schedule. So we're going to put X's and dollar signs every 2 hours in your schedule, 8, 10, 12, 2, 4, 6, and 8. And that shows you when you could do presentations. And then go ahead and do the same thing for Sunday. So do that for Saturday and Sunday. So go ahead at 8, 10, 12, 2, 4, 6, and 8. You overachiever, Noah. Okay, 8, 10, 12, 2, 4, 6, and 8 for Saturday and Sunday. Again, that's when you could do presentations. Not saying you're going to fill all of them up, it's just what the possible times are. And then flip to Monday. So after you put those X's in, flip to Monday. Monday, we have advanced training from 11:30 to 3:30. So go ahead and flip to Monday on page 26. 11:30 to 3:30 is advanced training. We teach you stuff that's going to blow your mind. Advanced sales skills, advanced recommendation skills. We teach you this thing called the secret weapon. It's awesome. And also we teach, we go through paycheck stuff on Monday too. Yep, 11:30 to 3:30. If you have a conflict with that, if you have an individual conflict with sports or school, just talk to us like tomorrow when you get your captain, let them know, and they'll figure out the makeup time for you, so not a big deal. Could you do a demo in the morning before that? Sure, so you could do an 8 or a 9 o'clock. Probably do 1, maybe 2 in the morning before that, probably just 1. Just put a little extra dollar sign at like 8 or 9. And then after advanced training, goes until 3:30, so you can do a 4, 6, and 8. So go ahead and plug in a 4, 6, and 8 on Monday. And these are the possible times. Now, once you have all those X's in there, you'll notice if you counted that there's about 20 X's in this schedule. Okay, that would be the maxed out baller schedule if you did nothing but eat, breathe, and sleep Cutco. So now what I want you to do is plug in the stuff that you have going on. So if you have a work schedule, plug that in. If you have a sports schedule that you have specific times, go ahead and plug that in. If you go to church on Sunday with your family, go ahead and plug that in. So any of the things that you have in your schedule already, go ahead and plug those things in and just block them off in your schedule, okay? Go ahead and block off all things here. If you have nothing going on, just sit and smile really big. Just gonna plug those things in your schedule. Once you've plugged those things in, your personal stuff in your schedule, I want you to count up how many X's you still have available. So between tomorrow and Monday for your first 4 days, because I want to calculate your first paycheck of what you could do, I want you to count up how many X's you still have in there that you could do. Now, this is not necessarily your goal, but this is just the max that would be possible for you to do. And I want you to just jot that number at the top of your calendar. So count up how many X's you could do, how many demos you could do, and this is your maximum. Not saying you have to do it. So let's say that Shane has 14 demos, like 14 slots in his schedule that he could do. He's going to put 14 at the top of his page. Then right next to that, I want you to write how many that you would like to do. So how many you would like to do. So if he has 14 that he could do, he doesn't have to do all 14. He might say, Drew, I'm maxing it out. I'm going to fill up every slot I can. And he would just do 14 and 14. But he might say, hey, Drew, 14 would be a little bit overwhelming with the stuff I have going on. So you know what? I've got 14 available. I want to shoot for 11. Or I want to shoot for 12. That's totally fine. I will never judge you on your goal. Even if you had 20 available and you're like, hey, I just want to do the minimum. I just want to do 10. I'm totally cool with that. No judgment here. Whatever you want out of this job, we'll help you get there. Your goal is your goal, and our job is to help you maximize whatever you want out of this job. However, it's your first weekend. It's your fast start. I would suggest going a little bit bigger, shooting for something bigger, because if you shoot for something bigger, even if you don't hit it, let's say that Shane says, all right, I'm going for 14. If he doesn't book 14 and he only books like 10 or 11, totally fine, right? You don't, like, whatever goal you're shooting for doesn't mean you have to hit that. Doesn't mean you're gonna get fired if you don't hit it. It just means that, we're gonna help you get there. If I know that Shane wants to do 14, I'm gonna help coach him to get there. If he only ends up doing 10, 11, 12, not a big deal, but it's important to have a goal. You guys feel me on that? All right, so I'm gonna write down how many you have available, and then what your target is, how many you would like to do, or how many you'd like to shoot for. Everybody has that number? And if you have a ridiculously crazy weekend, just during the phone time, just let me look at it and we'll come up with a plan that works for you. So if you don't have room for 10, no big deal. No big deal. So if you're totally squeezed and you don't have room for 10 appointments, not the end of the world. Because Shay only did, I think, 5 her first weekend because she was going to Minnesota. So she only did 5, but she focused on her best 5. So if you have fewer than 10 spots available, just do a really good job making sure that you show your best 5, because that way you can still maximize your sales for your first weekend. So if you have a tight weekend, just focus on your best ones. All right, I'm going to teach you how to make phone calls. Phone calls are super easy. This is the last thing we're doing today. Phone calls, and then we're going to eat pizza and make phone calls. And at the end, I'm going to teach you your fast start prizes, as long as you're fired up. All right? Deal? You ready for this?
Yeah.
All right, phone calls. Easy, 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 easy. If I didn't teach you how to make phone calls, you'd still do fine. Because you're calling mom and grandma and your best friend's mom. And you could very easily just say, hey mom, when am I coming over and showing you knives this weekend? Or hey grandma, I'll be there at 6 tomorrow. Get your pocketbook ready. Okay, like it's you'll get your demo set up really easily. However, the phone script is perfect. It is perfect. The reason why it's so important to use the script is because if you do it the right way, you won't have any reschedules or cancels. If you just kind of wing it and you set it up on your own, then you're going to have a lot of people rescheduling and canceling on you, because if you don't set it up the right way, then a lot of them will fall through. So it's important to do the script word for word. All right, page 23. I'm going to teach you some tips on how to make your calls, and then I'm going to teach you the script, and then we're going to make calls. All right, so page 23. Tips for scheduling your first weekend appointments. Who did we leave off on when we read before? Shane, did you read?
Yes, I did.
Labby, did you read? Did you read? Chase?
Yeah.
Who did we leave off on? Jeremiah, you're up. First bullet where it says don't overemphasize.
Don't overemphasize Cutco on the phone. The purpose of your call is to schedule an appointment. Cutco is incredible, but they won't understand how great it is until they see it.
Perfect. If Jeremiah gets way too excited about Cutco on the phone, his customers are going to think he's into some really weird stuff. He's going to be like, yeah, we're going to cut rope and leather and pennies, and it's going to be very, very strange. So don't overemphasize Cutco, because if you overemphasize Cutco, it's more about the sale. The whole point of your phone call is them helping you out for a presentation. Okay, so don't get too excited about Cutco. Kyla, next one.
Speak directly to who you want to schedule. Don't relay messages through friends.
Yeah, so if Kyla calls one of her friends and she's like, hey, she goes through the whole script and she's like, can you ask your mom if that's okay? Her friend is going to be like, hey mom, do you want to buy knives from Kyla? No thanks. She's not interested. Okay, so your friends are going to totally butcher it for you, so do not let your friends set up the appointments for you. Talk directly to their mom. Just have them pass the phone over, or if they're not with their mom at the time, just get their mom's phone number. Okay, so always talk directly to that person. Okay, next bullet. Jake.
Don't text to sub appointments, not very professional, leads to miscommunication. Create the right habits and call.
Yep, no texting for appointments, because even if you're on text message terms, let's say Jake texts his best friend's mom, who he has the cell phone number for, it's not going to feel professional. And then if something comes up in her schedule, let's say her friend says, hey, let's go to lunch. And she's going to be like, okay, cool, I'll just reschedule on Jake, because she's not going to understand how important that is. So never, ever, ever text to set appointments. I've only had one rep this summer screw this up, and she quit. She didn't even get started. She quit right away because she was embarrassed. Her first weekend, she set up all of her demos through text. All of them fell through, and then she was embarrassed because she didn't do anything her first weekend, and she quit. And by the way, all of her friends kicked butt at the job. They're some of our top reps on the team, but she was embarrassed because she didn't do it the right way. So don't screw this up. Talk with everybody on the phone, no matter what. Okay? Stephanie.
Speak with the wife on the phone. Target customer and easier to schedule.
Yeah, when the husband answers, say hi, talk to them. You know who they are. But like, if you try to schedule the husband, they're going to either stonewall you, they're going to be like, oh, call us next week. Or they're going to say, I don't know, talk to my wife. Right? So it's just going to be a waste of time talking to the husband anyway. So always talk to the wife on the phone. Okay? Next one.
Stress the fact that it's not a question of buying to sell.
Yep, everyone's going to tell you can come over, but I'm not going to buy anything. Respond by saying, that's okay, I get paid anyway, and I need as many appointments as possible. Every single person is going to tell you they're not going to buy. I specifically asked that question to everybody who I introduced you to, because you're going to hear it on every phone call. Everyone's going to say, yeah, sure, I'll help you out, but I'm not buying. The reason why people say that is because they buy everything. They say that because they know they're going to buy. That's why they say it. All right, here, you guys want to learn the coolest thing in your entire life? Guys, you want to learn how to increase your dating game? Ladies, you want to increase your dating game too? Okay. This is the coolest marketing skill you're ever going to learn in your life. You're never going to learn in college. Always give a choice of 2 times. So this is the number one marketing skill you'll never learn in college, is whenever you ask a question, you never ask the question yes or no. You only ask the question yes or yes. Because if you ask a yes or no question, you're going to get you could get a response of what? No. If you only ask a question that has a yes or yes answer, then you're always going to get a what? So guys, when you ask a girl on a date, you're not going to say, do you want to go out with me? Because then she can say what? No. So you're going to say, let's go out, is Friday or Saturday better for you? Right? It's a choice of yes or what? Yes. Or you say, hey, let's go out on Friday. Should I pick you up at 6 or 7? Okay. Ladies, when you respond, you're going to say, sure, we can go out on Friday. We can either go to Shanahan's or Del Frisco's, which is better. Okay? Because otherwise, he's going to try to take you to Chipotle. And he'll carry your tray and be a gentleman, but you know, it's not really high class, okay? So you always ask for a choice of yes or yes, never a choice of yes or no. So when you ask your customer for a demo, if Fisher says, hey, can you see my presentation, or do you want to see my presentation? They might say yes or no. Even if he leaves it open-ended and he says, when's good for you? She's going to say, oh, call me next week, right? Because it's easier for next week for her because she doesn't have to think about it. But if he says, is Friday or Saturday better for you, then it's just a choice of Friday or Saturday. Or if it's his Vegas customer, he's going to say, hey, is 6 o'clock or is 6:05 better for you? Okay? So you want to give a choice of two, always a choice of yes or yes. Everybody got that? Okay. But let's say that you're asking, let's say mom's making dinner, and let's say that you hate Chinese food. So you're not going to be like, hey mom, what's for dinner? Because she might say Chinese. You're going to say, hey mom, are we having Italian or Mexican tonight? Okay, choice of yes or yes. You might get slapped for that one, but choice of yes or yes. All right, so always ask for a choice of two. Now, when you're scheduling your appointments this weekend, you want to book Friday and Saturday first. So when you first start, you're going to say, is Friday or Saturday better? And then Kaylin's customer says Friday, and he says, okay, is 6 o'clock or 8 o'clock better? Now, if they say Saturday, he's going to say, okay, great. Is the morning or the afternoon better? Right? Because it's still a choice of two. They say afternoon. Okay, is 2 o'clock or 4 o'clock better? So you're always narrowing it down, but it's always a choice of two. Okay, that's how you always stay in control of your schedule. Now, once Friday and Saturday are booked, then you can move on to Sunday and Monday, but you want to book your first ones first. All right, next bullet, Caleb.
Set up a specific time?
Yep.
Tentative appointments generally fall through.
They always fall through. If they say, oh, come over anytime on Saturday, we'll be home all day, they'll always fall through. Because when you go over on Saturday, are they going to be there? No. Hey guys, this is John Etchison. John, come up to the front real quick. This is John Etchison. John is one of the best at phoning in our entire office. He's over $10,000 in sales. Come a little bit closer. John is one of the best at phoning in our office. He comes to the office every day to phone because his house is very distracting with siblings and a refrigerator and ESPN. So he always comes to the office to make his phone calls. So he's in a quiet place and he can focus on his sales. He's one of the top reps on our team. Very consistent because he always does 2 or 3 demos a day, well over 10 grand, well over 30. They're going to be making their phone calls in a little bit. He follows the script word for word every time. It's perfect. What's your biggest tip on making phone calls?
Phone calls? Well, it's important to sound happy, just kind of be polite, and it's important to really follow the objection cycle and like find out about their weeks, like work out their schedule with them and see if there's a time where they can squeeze you in.
Yep. And was it a little bit nerve-wracking when you made your first phone calls?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah. And pretty easy just following the script?
Definitely, that's the way to go.
Yep. And any other advice that I get the most out of their first weekend?
Do a lot of demos.
Awesome.
Cut up some food.
Good. Let's give John a round of applause. Thank you, John. All right. So set up a specific time. 10 appointments always fall through. Schedule appointments 2 hours apart. We talked about that one. Next is not everyone will answer their phone. Use the 4-to-1 rule. For every 4 phone calls, 1 person will pick up. Now, I use the 6-to-1 rule. So the company says 4-to-1 generally. I use 6-to-1 because I always want to be cautious. So that means that for every 1 demo I want lined up, I need to make 6 phone calls. So if I want to book 10 appointments this weekend, I need to make at least 60 phone calls. Now, I might not have 60 people on my list, 60 Mac customers on my list. Let's say I've got 30 targets that I really want to call. I could do 2 waves and call those same 30 people twice. Because if they don't answer, just call back a little bit later and try again. So I do the 6-to-1 rule. Now let's say I want to book 15 appointments this weekend. I need to make at least 90 phone calls between tonight and tomorrow morning to book those demos. Now realize that most of them don't answer, right? Because out of those 6 phone calls, 4 or 5 aren't even going to answer. And it takes about 20 seconds, ring, 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 no answer, hang up, call the next person. So don't get frustrated when you make like 5 or 6 phone calls in a row and nobody answers. That's pretty typical, that's pretty normal. Sometimes you'll call like 20 in a row, you're like, where is everyone? That happens sometimes, but then you'll call 3 or 4 in a row and you book 3 or 4 demos in a row. So it's streaky. You just have to make a lot of phone calls, and that's why tonight you're going to make hours and hours of calls to set your foundation. Once your foundation is set, the job is pretty easy because we do that 5 before, 5 after thing. Okay? So 6-to-1 rule with your phone calls. Not everyone's going to answer. Devin, I'm going to introduce you now. Cool. Guys, this is Devin Foster. Devin is my pilot sales manager. She is the #1 most important part of my office. Now, my other assistant managers, all the guys on my staff, she runs the entire staff. She's in charge. She's our only lady on staff this summer, which usually most of my staff is female, but she's our most senior veteran and most responsible assistant manager of my staff. She runs my office all year round. Now, my job over the summer is to run this office full time, but in the fall and spring, I'm focusing on our other offices because I've got 30 other offices that I manage. So I do all that work in the fall and spring. Devin runs this office full time. This spring, I was out of the country more days than I was in the country on vacations. I was all over the place. Devin broke every national record possible. The spring campaign record, every monthly record. We absolutely dominated, and I wasn't even here the entire time. She trained and managed several $10,000 Fast Start champions in our team. She ran the entire office. She runs my recruiting department. She runs our assistant manager staff. Everything that happens in the office goes through her. For me, I do all the fun stuff. I just run training and I give you prizes and I take out fancy dinners and things like that. She does all the hard work. So really a lot of the success of our office rests on her shoulders. She's got the toughest job in the company because my name goes on all the trophies, but she does all the work to make it happen. But she has a really huge responsibility running the #1 office in the history of the company. And here's the thing, she only started 2 years ago. So this is her 3rd summer with Cutco. She is the quickest promotion to her position ever in our division. It was surprising to me how good she got in such a short period of time. Very, very surprising because she is just a badass in every level. In your sales for your Fast Start, how much did you sell in your Fast Start?
$8,000.
$8,000. So she sold $8,000 in her Fast Start, made $1,600 in income. Now she was a little bit irritated because she had a couple friends on the team that sold more, hit 10 in their Fast Start. But champions, they don't get upset, they get back and they get even. So 2 weeks later, she sold $10,000 within a 2-week period because she just wanted to show that she could do it. So she just knocked out $10K within a short period of time. She was one of the top reps in our office her first summer as a brand new rep. Her 2nd summer as an assistant manager, she was the #1 assistant manager on our staff. Her team just blew everybody out of the water. She had more reps. She's trained and developed more reps to hit Dirty 30 and hit $10,000 in their career than any other assistant manager that I've had. And now she's the pilot sales manager, and she runs this place full time. So she's got a lot of responsibility, but she also gets paid very heavily for it. So she does okay. She's probably the richest 20-something-year-old that you'll ever meet. What's your favorite thing about the job?
Definitely the environment and also the ability that you can work as hard as you want to. So I guess that could become with flexibility. So for me, I was working over at Buffalo Wild Wings, and then I got the opportunity for this job, and I was tired of working harder than everyone else to get the same pay. So I had the opportunity to choose what my paychecks looked like, and I wanted big paychecks, so I just really worked hard to get to that point. And worked with all of my best friends, and I can't really say I've worked really a day since I've started because I just hang out with my friends all day long and help you guys be successful. So.
Any advice for the first weekend? They're going to be making their phone calls. What advice would you give them for the first weekend?
First weekend is book up your schedule, but the only way you can book up your schedule is a ton of phone calls. After training, really commit to making a couple hours worth of phone calls. When I finished training, I made 3 hours worth of phone calls each night to make sure that I had enough demos ahead of me to book up my schedule. So really commit to the number of demos and the number of phone calls.
And Devin is well over $50,000 in sales. Now I promoted her right away to assistant manager, so a lot of that has been part-time around her assistant manager schedule. By the way, she was a state champion in cross country and track. What events did you win? 800 mile state champion. She went to Arapahoe High School, but she's super competitive. I saw the YouTube video of this race. She was like behind the entire race and just blew everybody out of the water in the second half. It was unbelievable. So she's a super competitor. She hates losing. That's why she's perfect for her position in our running this office. So get them around Quonset. By the way, she was just in Cabo this weekend, or this weekend, Cabo this spring with free trip. So we do a lot of vacations, a lot of free trips. She wanted a free trip to Cabo. She also just qualified for a trip to Vegas and a trip to Costa Rica. So she just won a Vegas trip and a Costa Rica trip. Life doesn't suck for young and foster. So anyway, cool.
Thank you.
Thanks, Steph. All right. So next bullet says don't leave a message. Nobody answers messages anyway. Nobody responds to messages. Don't leave a message. Just try it back later. Now, the first phone wave that we do is going to be at like 5 o'clock. Is that like 5 o'clock on a Thursday? Is that the best time to make phone calls? No. It's like the worst time ever to make phone calls. But I'm going to have you do it just because I want you to get the nerves out and get your first bunch lined up. But 5 o'clock, what are most people doing at 5 o'clock on a Thursday? Sitting in traffic, especially with this rain. They're going to be sitting in traffic for like hours, and they're going to be miserable and grumpy. You're going to get a bunch of demos lined up, but you know the first wave is really just to kind of get the nerves out. But don't leave a message. You can call them back. So if somebody doesn't answer at 5, can you call them at 7? And if they don't answer at 7 because they're in the middle of dinner or picking up their kids for practice or something, can you call them at 8:30? For sure. So you can call them multiple times. You can go through your list a couple times to get those demos booked. Cutco owners are the best prospects. Always schedule appointments with Cutco owners. Next it says call in waves. So here's how the waves work. Now we're going to have 4 waves of phone calls. The first wave, wave 1, is here at the office. So wave 1 is at the office. Wave 2 and wave 3 are at home. Wave 4 is tomorrow morning at the office. Now you can have a bad wave with bad luck, or you could have a good wave with good luck. A wave is about an hour of phone calls, 45 minutes to an hour is a wave. Now, during that wave, if you have bad luck, you'll get like 2 or 3 demos lined up. I hope you rolled up your windows. If you have a bad luck, you get 2 or 3 demos lined up. And let's say that you have bad luck the entire time. Just it's horrible, it's terrible, and nobody's picking up their phone. You'll still get at least 2 or 3 lined up in that 45 minutes to an hour. So if you have terrible luck the entire time, you're going to get somewhere between 8 and 12 lined up, which isn't terrible. It's not terrible. And that's if you have horrible luck. So that's why we do different waves, because even if luck is not on your side, you're still setting yourself up for success. Now, a good wave is 5 or 6. So if you get 5 or 6 demos lined up during a wave, then you're looking really good. You could get 20 plus appointments lined up if you do all 4 waves. So the first wave is at the office. That's going to be here before you leave while we eat pizza. The next 2 waves are at home. So everyone's been telling you like make 2 or 3 hours of phone calls and really book it. So you want to make as many phone calls as you possibly can tonight. I would say like when you get home, 6:30 to 7:30, take a little break, eat some food, and then like 8:15 to 9:15 would be a good wave. The later it gets, the easier it is to get in touch with people because more people are home. So these 2 waves are the most important ones. These are the biggest ones. With family and friends and people you know really well, you can call up until 9:30. With people you don't know as well, usually 9 o'clock is usually the cutoff time for calling customers. But with your family and friends, you can call them until 9:30. That's totally fine. Okay, and if you know they're up later, who cares? Just call them. It's your family.